can we reel like all the way back
Mm-hmm.
and hear about where you're from and
Yeah.
what your upbringing was like and
Sure,
how
sure.
you got into martial arts?
Yeah, I was born in the Midwest, moved around a bunch, but started martial arts in the late 80s. And Chris, you might know, but back then there was a feeling that grappling arts were a little bit ungentlemanly,
Yes.
a little brutish, and embarrassingly, I'll say I bought into it, unnecessary. You didn't need to go to the ground. If you just did the right move, you could take the guy, you could destroy the guy.
No one should be able to clinch you.
Right.
Was the thing. Yep.
So I never trained grappling. I didn't train grappling arts for the first 20 years of my career. Then UFC came out. Watched that live at home on pay-per-view and was sitting back in my chair just like I am now. And I thought, what is this pro wrestling thing going to be about? And as soon as I saw the tooth fly out of Taylor Tooley's mouth in the first round, I was leaned forward and realized that this was
is
real.
A real street fight,
Yep.
like on TV. Yep, I remember that. Yep.
People that grow up with it now don't know there was a time when there was no real fights.
And no mouthpiece?
No mouthpieces.
It was optional. Yeah, the early ones, like I was a purple belt when UFC 1 happened. And I had no doubt in my mind that Hoist would win, provided he got the clinch. And the worry was, can he get through the Sabat champion? Can he get through a heavyweight who can hold him back? Like that was their only concern. It's like, can we get that clinch?
Right.
And that was kind of how it was. Because to be honest, jiu-jitsu guys back then, with the exception of Hickson, did not have much of an entry game. And the guys who did have it were Greco-influenced guys, so they had a clinch, but they didn't have a boxing game yet.
And looking back on it, like, always didn't look great compared to today's standards, but it was more than enough to deal with the guys that didn't have a ground game back then.
Yep.
So shortly after I saw that, I went to the Gracie Academy, bought the in-action tapes to watch more fights, and then it wasn't long after that started training jiu-jitsu.
And you're in the Midwest during all this?
No, I came out here when I was 10 years old, so all my martial arts were out here.
And Orange County you were?
Orange County and LA County both.
And your first martial art was Aikido?
That's right. Well, before that, karate and some Kenpo, which was the MMA back in the 80s.
Yes.
And then Aikido for 20 years, and then jiu-jitsu ever since, and now judo as well.
Yeah, I almost think that we could say modern MMA or modern is mixed combat sports.
Sure.
Whereas back in the olden days, mixed martial arts meant mixing with fantasy arts, mixing with combat sports, mixing with other things.
Sure. Yeah. There just wasn't enough data to know what really worked and what didn't in a combat sense.
Huh. So you started training jiu-jitsu, and then is that when you got interested in producing content and starting Budo videos? How did that kick off, and where in your jiu-jitsu journey did that start?
Yeah, I was living in Japan from '99 to 2002, and
For what? Sorry.
I was teaching English there.
Okay.
As soon as I graduated university, I went over there because I'd done a homestay before, and I just loved martial arts and Japanese culture in general. So I was living there and spending all my money on martial arts books, and DVDs didn't exist, VHS tapes and all that stuff. And so as soon as I moved back here, I thought, you know what, I'm going to start a business importing these products. And I started making our own stuff, and then I was training with the guys in the IBJJFs, and we started doing the live streaming of all of their events, and then we did the YouTube shows, and it all just flowed together.
Oh, that's amazing. Were you into tech stuff at any junction here?
We were doing computer stuff back then, which having a website was no easy task back then, and doing live streaming. A lot of people nowadays might not know, but we did the first live stream jiu-jitsu event, Nogi Worlds 2009, I think it was. And then we also had a live stream show like we're doing now. But back then it was very difficult. We had our own servers, our own IT guys. Young people now have no idea how easy tech is. It was very hard and very expensive back then.
You came up when YouTube was first going HD, which at first YouTube, you could learn moves, but I remember watching VHS tapes trying to figure out what that was that somebody pirated from the audience because you weren't allowed to film, and there was a secretive nature behind all martial arts, and each school and each style, each sub-style would want to keep their techniques secret. and you were one of the first openers up of that can of secrets.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very true. I'd never bought into the whole Creonch thing in jiu-jitsu. I'm an American. I'm a customer. I'm happy to pay you to train at your gym, but I'm also going to go elsewhere. And if you don't like that, you can kick me out. But I was always going to other gyms, and I would go to Go course to learn the leg locks because the Brazilians weren't teaching the leg locks at a high level. And then as soon as I would come back, my friends would ask, "Oh, what did you learn?" And I'd show them, and then I'd go to another gym, and they said, "Oh, I heard you went to Go course. What did you learn?" I'm like, "Okay, let me show you too." And eventually I thought, you know what? Let me just take the cameras along with me, record the whole experience so everybody can see. Cool. And nowadays it doesn't seem so risque, but back then it's like, oh my gosh, you're flying 2 flags, or you're flying
It was kind of
here.
scary.
Yeah,
back then.
Yeah. And there's no better way to get injured than go into another gym where nobody knows you and train. And
what year was that?
Is he a spy to steal our techniques? Yeah.
This is the rolled up show that I'm talking about now, and that was around 2009 or so that I started that.